Hey everyone, I am Josh. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be somewhat special in the sense that it's not your normal vlog. I haven't been able to vlog this month. I hate this because I'm home. I'm not reading as much. I'm in a bit of a reading slump, but that's a story for another day. But I had this one vlog that I filmed back in September for the Queer Weekend mini Queer Lit Readathon that was going on. And at the time, I was reading so much and doing so many projects that I overwhelmed myself. I didn't have the time or the energy to edit this vlog and get it up, and I had since put it aside as abandoned, but luckily I didn't delete it because now I'm here wanting to make a vlog for you but not having the time to actually film one. And I figured this is a perfect opportunity to share with you that vlog because it was a really good vlog, and after editing it I feel even more confident that I really like this vlog. It was some pretty good footage, I think, and some pretty good books, some so-so feelings here and there sometimes, but it's some really good feelings. In this vlog I read a few books. One of them I've now since read again. Back in March I read The Unkindness of Ghosts for a second time, and if you've heard my thoughts since then, you might have some spoilers as to how I'm gonna feel about it. Obviously I liked it enough to reread it, but I'm reading that for the first time in this vlog. And my experience reading that book is part of the reason why I really wanted to post this vlog to begin with, because I wanted to share that experience, and it's never happened. But now we're here and I've edited it and it's going up, and this is exciting to me, at least. I really enjoy editing this, so hopefully you enjoy watching it, and I will see you all later. So it is nearly 4 p.m. on Saturday. My goal is to read these two books this weekend, or at least start both of them. First, A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine, the Hugo Award-winning novel of 2020. And then An Unkindness of Ghosts by Rivers Solomon. And both of these highly anticipated. Then there were a few arcs they want to read as well, because I'm going to be extending this vlog to beyond Sunday, basically the end of September. But without further ado, let's just get started. I haven't started reading yet, and I actually have a socially distanced research group barbecue thing today, which I have to get to. And then I'll start listening. If I don't start until tonight, that's fine. I'll go on a long bike ride. Sunday afternoon. I've had a bit of a lazy burst this weekend. Thankfully, not doing it just these 2 days, otherwise this would have been a failure of a vlog. Barely started the first book, A Memory Called Empire. But you know what? I'm gonna try and actually accomplish something for once in my life by taking a shower and doing something today and reading this goddamn book. I've only just barely started it. I've had a hard time getting to it so far. I don't know if it's the book or just because I wasn't in a frame of mind to read, but I think once I give myself like in a spot to actually just get into it, to get lost in it, that I should be able to pick it up pretty quickly. But that's all I have to say for now. Okay, it's Sunday evening. I'm about a third of the way through the book, and I figured I'd go for a bike ride. There's a chance I might still finish this tonight. I don't dislike the book, but it's clear that it's not really for me, or at least, like, I'm glad that I'm reading it because I'm trying to branch out at least. But space operas are something I've always struggled with. Like with epic fantasies, the world building is just so massive that it's hard for me to follow along with what's going on. We're in this far future world where the civilization is complicated, the names are distant, different than what I'm used to. It's just hard to catch up, but still I'm having trouble really connecting with it. But I'm gonna focus on biking now because I look weird talking just my screen.
Anywhere you go, you belong. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
So I'm nearly halfway now through the book, and it isn't bad. It's probably above a 3-star, but not quite a 4-star because it's creative and unique. It's just space operas aren't really my cup of tea, and I'm having a hard time connecting and really getting invested into the story, into the characters. I'm gonna keep writing and hopefully get through most of it before I stop tonight. Well, I'm home. It's almost 10:30 p.m. I am 70% through a memory called Empire, and I have really mixed feelings. On one side, I'm sort of following what's going on. I like our main character, I like the characters. I like the writing style, but the world building, the details is just still very convoluted, and not necessarily in a bad way, just in a way that I'm having a really hard time keeping up with. Like, I get the main plot points. I just really don't know anyone outside of our main character, and I feel like I'm missing a lot of details when it comes to the overarching theme that this book is being praised for. I've watched a lot of reviews, and so many of them seem to just be such high praise, largely for just how well it handles these themes that I think I'm just not really appreciating. And so I'm really tempted to finish the book as I'm 2 hours away, but start it over again, read it again. I'm gonna read An Unkindness That Goes before I do that. That's a priority over rereading this one, obviously. But there's a few reasons why I say that. You might just say, Josh, why the fuck aren't you just DNFing a book you don't like? And that's because it's complicated. Well, first off, I'm reading it for a book club, and I don't want to go in with barely any idea what actually happened. But two, there's a lot about this that I do like, and I feel like it's one of those books that if I were following along a bit better, I could really, really love it. So I feel like it's one of those things that going back and reading it a second time will give me a more complete picture of how to approach it, but also help me basically catch details that I missed before in a way that would help me enjoy it more. If I understand it better, I'll probably enjoy it more, which is why I think I might try and reread this. But that's my thoughts right now. It's just a heavy book, and I wish I was enjoying it more. Those are all my thoughts. I had a good bike ride. As you saw, I went swinging a bit. Something really weird happened when I was swinging, which is that I got motion sickness. Like, as soon as I started swinging, it's never happened to me before. No one told me that when I turned 30 that I was going to start getting motion sickness on a fucking swing set. I guess that's life.
The next day.
Good morning. It's Monday, September 28th. I got through most of the audiobook last night. I've got about 15 minutes left, so I'm almost done. I've gotten connected to it more towards the end, which I guess strengthens my idea that I might enjoy it more if I were to reread it. Now that I'm connecting more with the characters, mostly because I'm understanding who's who. Even still, it's one of those books that I think that because the world is so complex, I think I just need to start taking notes, which I know I've said before. I really need to start doing it if I expect a book to really be complicated. I also realized I didn't say what it's about. So it's this space opera set in the far future where you have this woman from some part of this galactic empire, except it's not the main city or station of the empire, so it's like an offset, and so the culture is different, the people are different, and she ends up coming to the main empire to be a new ambassador for, I'm not sure who, someone in maybe her home, I'm not entirely sure, but it's about her role as the ambassador, one, trying to figure out how to handle things because the culture is very different. The big part of this is the conversation about culture, but also there was a lot of discrimination against her for not being from the empire. They literally call her a barbarian for being different, and there's a lot of commentary there about this sort of culture shift, with her trying to cope with the new culture, but also with others discriminating against her for that. The queerness, there isn't really overt. There's just some references to queer relationships and some queer flirting going on, but it's not a major part of the book. It's just there, which obviously is fine. Sometimes you just want a book that normalizes queerness. So one thing I didn't mention is that there's this thing that the people use. What is it called? I don't know what it's called, but it's basically this thing where you imprint someone's old memory into a person, and the ambassador is supposed to have this memory of the last ambassador impressed into her memory, and it's like a second mind, or they share her body, and he is supposed to help her cope and understand how to live with this new culture, and except things haven't been working out right, and part of that seems to be that maybe there was a sabotage, or maybe something's wrong with her, and it's this thing trying to figure out, first off, when she became the ambassador was because the last ambassador was killed. So is she going to be killed? There also seems to be war about to go on in the empire and different things like that. A lot of the details that I'm not as connected to as I would like to be. I think maybe part of the reason why I was following a bit more was because I watched some reviews. I'm not connected to something, sometimes I just need to Google it to figure it out. But we'll see if I have time. I want to finish this and then read On Unkindness of Ghost. If I have time before October starts, maybe I'll pick this up again, because I really want to be able to talk about it coherently at my book club. I'm going to get to work, and I'll catch you later.
I'm cooking dinner right now. I finished A Memory Called Empire. I think I'm going to give this 3.5 stars out of 5. I stand by all the things that I said before, except I've definitely had a better time connecting to the story since I guess watch those reviews, and I really enjoyed the ending. Honestly, the ending makes me want to continue the story, but if I do that, I want to first reread it. I feel it was a lot here that I did like, and what I didn't like was just because I couldn't follow, and that wasn't really the book's fault as much as just the complexity of the book and my ability to retain stuff, just not being focused enough, not being in the right headspace. So, good book, interesting ideas, interesting world building, compelling enough to make me want to honestly just continue the story, not just reread it for the book club, because I'm curious where things are going to go. Now I have started An Unkindness of Ghost. It's a strong start. I'm only a few minutes in. Sorry, my food that I'm boiling is boiling over. This is good so far. A strong start. It seems like it's going to be the kind of book that's going to be easy to get into. We'll see. I only just started like 15 minutes ago. We'll see how much I get through it tonight while I spend the evening cooking and cleaning. So this morning, made a smoothie. I am still enjoying this. I've actually got about 5 hours left, I think. So I made decent progress, just the first 15-20%. Realistically, now that I think about it, I won't have time to reread. I remember he called Empire. That book is like 15 hours long without double speed, and I'd have to seriously push through it. And this over today and tomorrow, and I don't want to do that. My ambition is set too high, unfortunately. For now, I'm just going to keep reading this. I was worried it would be like A Memory Called Empire, which is to say like a really detailed space opera, and while there is plenty of detail here, it's not like space level epic sci-fi. It's the type of sci-fi that I really enjoy, which is futuristic and has hints of science and just a really complex world building, but not so much that it's just completely alien to me. Is that a pun? That might be a pun. So the book itself is about this spacecraft called Matilda, which is basically like an ark for humans where they have left Earth to survive, and I don't know if they're going anywhere in particular, they're just surviving. And this is a massive spacecraft that has decks upon decks. With each deck, they are big enough for there to be crops, and like we're talking massive scales. It's honestly hard for me to picture. And the setup here is basically where you have a very on the nose, which is to say a caste system where a certain decks have a certain level of worth with them. And what I knew coming in was that there's commentary here that has to do with like slavery and maybe Jim Crow. I'm not quite sure, because there's definitely basically slavery in here. But it's interesting because it's not as, maybe this is naive of me to say, but it doesn't seem as direct as I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be more heavy-handed. Not that would have been bad, or that it is bad, that it's not that. I think it's more coded in the world building of the scenario we're in, where it almost feels normalized. I mean, there's a lot of problematic stuff in here, but this idea of like people having their job to do in this sort of very fragile world, but at the same time, the way their jobs are assigned and the way these people are treated. To be clear, there are some very heavy-handed concepts here, like they literally have people who are called overseers, which is a pretty direct reference to slavery. But in other ways, it feels almost akin to some of the systems we see in some sci-fi futuristic worlds. I particularly was thinking about the new TV show, which was an adaptation of a movie called Snowpiercer, which is starring David Diggs, who is a co-author of Rivo Solomon's other book, The Deep, and how there you have a caste system with people doing different tasks and very authoritarian people in the front. It's not as much a commentary about slavery, but sorry, I got distracted, something came up. I pretty much said everything I wanted to say. Those are my thoughts so far. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to keep working on my beautiful television, and until later. So I'm a quarter through Unkindness of Ghosts. Not really any change so far in my opinion, just into part 2. Feels like a much more fast-paced book than A Memory Called Empire. I am doing some work today that is a little trivial and allows me to listen to stuff in the background, and I think I want to start Surrender Your Sons because it's one of those books, because it's YA contemporary. I think it'll be easy enough for me to listen to it while I'm working, and while I might could do that with Unkindness of Ghosts, I'd rather save that for the evening when I have my mind a bit more free. And we'll see if I can get through it. I think if I listen to it while I work, I might be able to get through both. I'm probably pushing my luck if I want to get through both of these by tomorrow, but we'll see if it happens. It's almost 8 p.m. I just finished filming and editing my Witch's Brew book tag. That was a lot more fun than I thought it would be, honestly. Put it first on my list of tags to do because I thought it would be the least fun. But then I realized it was so much fun. I just love talking about witch stuff. Yeah, Charmed, you had Buffy, you had tangentially American Gods. I'm so excited for that. But as for what I'm reading, still thoroughly enjoying An Unkindness of Ghosts. I'm pretty confident I'll finish it. Honestly, I think I'm also going to finish Surrender Your Sons, which is enjoyable enough. Honestly, this story, I get it's YA, so maybe it's not really perfect for me, but it doesn't feel like it's doing anything special. But the story it is creating is sufficiently entertaining and easy to follow that I don't mind it being what it is. It's a story about a young man who comes out as gay to his mother, who's super Christian, and then she carts him off to conversion therapy. And this is set in modern day. And the story, it's trying really hard to make it seem like it's a serious scenario where anything could happen. It's a really dark scenario, but it's still YA on a very almost middle grade end, it feels like, even though it's the guys and it's nearly an adult, I think, type teenager. And I don't really believe there's any significant threat. I'll be surprised if there is. And on top of that, it doesn't seem like there's any new type of conversation going on here. Granted, I haven't read a lot of contemporary queer stories, let alone ones about conversion therapy, but it seems like the kind of story you just might expect generically for that type of story. And I'm still only like 25% into it, but I'm not getting the impression it's not going to be anything special. From that stance, I think if you're looking for a conversion therapy story, maybe, but even then, maybe look and see what other stories are out there, because there might be some that are just really well renowned for its conversation on the whole generation. This one is fun just because, like, I love anything that shits on Christianity, especially just like the extreme side of Christianity. So from that perspective, I'm enjoying it, but it almost just feels like it's exploiting this type of harmful situation as opposed to actually having a serious conversation around it. But we'll see if that changes my mind. On the bright side, it's keeping me entertained. Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah, so I'm going to try and get through most of Unkindness of Ghosts tonight, and then tomorrow I will try and finish the last 3.5 hours or so that I have of Surrender Your Sons while I work. And if I'm really lucky, before the evening is over, oh wait, actually tonight's the debate, I might do that. But before the evening is over tomorrow, I might even get to fit in Cat Lullaby, which is a NetGalley arc that I really need to read. For now, I'm going to clean up and I guess look into the debate. But I'm in a really good mood just because even though my video wasn't particularly high quality, I had a lot of fun doing it. We'll see you later.
Require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America.
Okay, it's Wednesday. Did not get any more reading done last night because I was watching the debate basically all night, and then I went to bed after that. But I did listen some today when I was making lunch. I'm down to 3.5 hours for An Unkindness of Ghosts. My opinion is the same. I'm still thoroughly enjoying it. I think it's really well told, easy to follow. Surrender Your Sons, I haven't read any more. I'm going to start listening to that while I do some more work for school. And then hopefully I'll be done with that by 5. And then Unkindness of Ghost by 8. And maybe even be able to fit in the lullaby, the Cat Lullaby. something, whatever this cover is. I feel like not much is happening, but it's the middle of the week and I have a lot going on. All that matters is that I'm reading and I'm enjoying it. Hopefully you're enjoying watching me tell you these things and enjoying me to enjoy watching me to tell you these things. It's an endless cycle of you watching me and me telling you to watch me, of me watching you tell me watch you. You understand? Perfect. Hey, it's 8 p.m. and the day has just gone by. I was thinking I'd have plenty of time to read tonight. Ended up getting carried away with work, and here we are. So I have about half an hour left on Surrender Your Sons and 3.5 hours left on An Unkindness Ghost. I think I'm going to do something with my life while I finish off An Unkindness of Ghost, at least the majority of it. Surrender Your Sons will be the easiest to finish, so I think I want to save it for the end of the night, right before I'm going to bed. Let's get going. I really have nothing to do. It's cold and wet and I don't really want to go for a bike ride. I'm going to throw the audiobook on and find something. God, my life is boring.
Later.
It's after 12, but technically I finished this on the 29th or the 30th. I'm done with An Unkindness of Ghosts. I really liked it. I'm settling, I think, on 4.5 stars, but I'm really tempted to give it 5. I'm just not sure if it reaches 5-star material for me. Like, it's really good, but it never quite peaks to the level that I want from a 5-star. But at the same time, it's definitely better than a 4-star, which I've had several of this month. So I really like this book for several reasons. The first off is that it's just a really immersive story told in a very beautiful way, in a way that is just easy to get lost in. I think that's probably the biggest surprise, is that I was really nervous coming into this, just because like when I thought of Rivers Solomon, I was equating them heavily to writers like N.K. Jemisin and Octavia Butler, who I've really enjoyed, but who I've also found really challenging. And I was worried that the subject matter mixed with just how much is going on I would struggle to connect to the story, or at least to not get overwhelmed, I guess is what I'm looking to say. And I feel like I'm indecent, I'm sorry, but I don't want to change. And that just wasn't the case. It was surprisingly easy to get lost in this book without getting overwhelmed. I mean, I listened to the last half of this book tonight with nearly no stops, and I was shocked at how easily I was able to do that. Not to say it's an easy book. I don't mean to be cavalier about the fact that this book has some really dark themes and really dark conversations, but I'm not the kind of person who finds that difficult to push through in books. It's really just the rather of, I guess, the cognitive information. And even the last, I think, 40 minutes or so, I just listened to Med. Like, I just sat there and listened, which I rarely do because it's so easy to get distracted. But the fact that I was able to just sit there and just stare off at the wall and follow along, that's something I only do if I'm just really immersed in the story. I remember one of my earliest memories doing that is like with Harry Potter, just for hours sitting, staring at the ceiling while I listen. And it's nice to be in that mood again. So this book was just a very positive experience. The closest thing to a complaint here is that the ending is very abrupt, and I've seen some complaints, at least on Goodreads, talking about the pacing. But quite frankly, I don't think the pacing is bad. Like, the ending is very abrupt. You have a big change very quickly. While that change is just as abrupt and unfortunately last second, I don't think it's necessarily changing the pace of the story. Sure, we have a very pivotal moment at the end that will trigger a series of massive events. But rather than trying to force all of those events into the conclusion of the book, instead, Solomon treats the ending of this story as the beginning of another. I mean, there's no sequel, and I'm very mad because I really would love a sequel. But I liked it because Solomon gives us just enough, I think, to close off the story satisfactorily, while still clearly having so much more that they could tell. And as frustrating as that is, I do not think it makes the book bad. And honestly, the more I talk about it, the more I want to think that maybe it is just a 5-star. I don't know. I'm very happy. And look at this beautiful cover. Look at this beautiful cover. Maybe I should just say 5-star. Fuck it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. I can always change it later on. I'm going to give this 5-star. Those are my thoughts. I haven't finished Surrender Your Sons. I'll close out the vlog and update you tomorrow morning because I'm tired and I really want to go to sleep. Hence me being completely indecent, I do declare. But good night. Good night.
Later.
I lied to you. I'm not in bed yet. I did finish Surrender Your Sons though, so let's close out this vlog. That I'm going to give 3.5 out of 5 stars. All in all, I would say it surprised me because it definitely went darker than I thought it would. But there was something about the YA tone of it all that I just really had a hard time taking it seriously. On top of that, this conversation that it's trying to have, I feel like it's been done before. Granted, I'm not familiar enough with queer literature to say that, but the idea of conversion camps, that's not new. I have to believe that's been done before. And it just feels like he's just using the idea as an easy plot point for a YA thriller. And like any YA thriller, it is not that thrilling if it is surprising in the dark turns it might take at times. But I'm never really that worried for our main character because of the tone, even if I was wrong in the fact that it did get pretty dark at times. But all in all, it was a fun story. I mean, if you like YA queer story thrillers, maybe you'll like this. Those of you who have read a lot more queer lit, let me know. I mean, there are better books out there, right, that talk about conversion camps. I mean, I feel like if that's the kind of conversation you want to hear about, Google books that talk about that. There are probably better books out there. Would I buy this book for myself? No, I would never have bought this book for myself, especially knowing my opinion after it. But I mean, as an e-arc, why not? It's how I get myself to read some books that I might not otherwise buy. And honestly, the ending was sufficiently shocking and dramatic that I ended up giving it 3.5, and I was really thinking about giving it a 3-star. It says it's not terrible, it's just not my cup of tea. And I kind of just stand by the fact that the conversation is not very nuanced. And I think that matters here, because if it's not nuanced, then what are you doing? Is it really about the topic? Are you really trying to say something significant? Or are you just trying to use the topic, exploit it for a good story? And I know that sounds dark, that sounds harsh here, but I think it's warranted. When you take a difficult topic, then again, it is for YA. So maybe it's not meant to be that nuanced. Why no YA books can have a more nuanced conversation than this? Just because it's YA doesn't mean it can't still be like a good conversation, a good discussion, good ideas. So to review, first I read a movie called Empire. And remember I gave this, I think it was 3, maybe 3.5 out of 5 stars. And that was just because, like I said, I had trouble connecting to it at first. It's a very complex story in a very unique world. By the end of the story, I was really liking the characters, I really liked the writing, and I want to continue the story. Before I do that, I want to reread the story because I think I would enjoy it a lot more with this complete view now, better prepared just to appreciate the details that I'm being given. And then my favorite one of all, of course, is going to be this, which I'm settling on, I think I said 5 stars. Well written, well told, and immersive, and some really great conversation here. And it leaves you wanting more while still feeling like it really told the story that it was trying to tell. I applaud it for that. And also, of course, the most gorgeous cover is also this. That is the Queer Weekend-a-thon, or the Queer Weekend Readathon. I don't know what it's called. And also, it's technically been like 5 days of this now. Ignore that fact. It clearly hasn't been a weekend. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It gave me something to do with the last bit of my month. And now I can move on to a nice horror-filled Halloween. Also, I still feel very indecent. Thank you for watching. I hope you had a fun time. Let me know if you're going to participate on the next one, which I guess will be next year. And as always, stay safe. Bye-bye.